Hello guys, Relentless Painter. This is Chris. I am here to talk to you today on how to do these lovely shading effects. Talked about them yesterday. Again, pretty much finished product. Somewhere in the middle, I didn't do the eyes and stuff on this, but you can still see that brown, black to red shading effect around it. And then this is what I'm trying to get you guys to today, is to making a blank where you've added very little detail, if any, and it's just that coloring effect, that natural shading. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to prime this and then how to apply paints. This works for just about any color. You can do black, you can do shading effects with grays, blues, greens, purples. I am not rich. I do not have an infinite number of models, though I do paint an infinite number of models for other people. So I'm going to be using just a random Space Marine body. Some of it's 3D printed, some of it's GW parts, and some of it's that Chromac aftermarket model. So hold on your bootstraps. I'm going to show you guys how to do the priming for this. All right, guys, we're outside now. Let's see if I can get some lighting on this. I can show you what I'm doing. So I literally used the cheapest paint I can get my hands on. The Rust-Oleum American Accents flat. You can use whatever. But we're gonna try black first. You're just gonna apply the dark color, the darkest color in the range that you want. You're gonna apply it. It doesn't even have to be that good, honestly. You don't want to be right up on it, but yeah. Then we let that dry. About 5 minutes. All right, so now that we've got the first layer, it's mostly dried. Let's get you over in some light. Okay, it's mostly dried. It doesn't look dry, but it is. What we're going to do is we're going to apply the second layer, which is going to be white. You can do 3, 4, 5 different colors, just each time as you get brighter from the light to the light source, you want to make sure that the amount of the spray is less and you leave some variation in it. So like you'll do black covering the whole thing, gray covering about half, and then white covering a third. But we're just gonna do black and white, which is what I did on the other models. It works really, really good with reds and greens. Let's see. Let's move it over there. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're not going to be doing a straight down, just one angle shot on it. What we're going to be doing is a arc. Like the sun. We're gonna go, and then we're gonna add to it. You want more than one light source, so you're gonna pick 2 angles of approach on it, and you're not going to vary elevation. You're just gonna pick an elevation, usually about 60 to 90 degrees, somewhere in there, and you're gonna rotate it as you go, and you're gonna do 2 swipes. Let's go over here like this. Okay. So, hopefully you guys can see that. And that's about it. If you want a little bit more highlight, you can go a little bit farther over. But you want it not to cover everything. You can see the black left in it. Focus. Okay, there you go. So that's pretty much what it's going to look like when you apply the colors over it. Those dark black areas are going to really show up dark. All right, guys, back inside. I'm just going to show you a couple things from this real quick. So this is what it looks like when it's dried. Again, you can really see that contrast. So it goes from black, and it's really, it's not subtle at all. It's just extreme. Okay, you'll see some spotting and stuff like that. That is fine, because what we're going to be using is we're going to be using a contrast paint over this. Now, contrast paints are awesome, and you can do this trick with a lot of different colors. You can do it with greens. I really like X-Ray Flame. There's also, what's it called? anyways, I got a couple other colors of green, but they're all over the place. Oh, here you go. Cassandra's green. This is a little bit darker. Hexwraith is more like vibrant and glowy. You can also do it with blue with your ultramarines. So salamanders, ultramarines is Talisar blue. This is going to show up like a neon blue, but it'll be a little bit dark. It would actually look pretty cool with this. In fact, I might just do that. The red that I used specifically on those models would be the contrast ball red. Okay, that's my favorite go-to red. The Blood Angel specific red is a little bit too dark. It is a contrast paint, but I would use it more on like Flesh Terror or something like that. But even then, you could do Blood Angels with them. It's just my army. I went a little bit lighter on the light end of the color range for them. That way I can make the darks really, really dark, and that difference is pretty cool. But if you start with a dark, just realize you're going to be topping out the light end of your spectrum on your army that you're painting, especially if you keep consistency. You can also do it with a purple. We got Magos purple. We've also got I've got like a plum purple. There's a lot of different colors you can do that with, or a cyan or turquoise, like Pterodon turquoise. This one actually looks super sweet when you do this with it. So let's go ahead and get her done with the contrast ball red. So when you're adding these contrasts on, you don't have to water it down, nothing like that. It is already going to be really thin. It goes on like an ink almost, okay? So when you're applying it, make sure you're not globbing it on, okay? You're going to just, like you would, meticulously, you're going to do 2 or 3 coats of it. And you're going to make sure it doesn't pool. I've already knocked some of that paint off. Whoops. That's another thing. I didn't wait long enough for this to dry, so I kind of screwed that up. But here we go. So as I'm applying this stuff, what I generally do, I paint like a madman with contrast paints. No rhyme, no reason. I'm all over the place. But when I do paint with it, I just make sure I keep going back over the spots that I already did until they dry. It can be super annoying, but you just don't want it to pool like it's doing right there. Now this is all going to go silver anyways, this leg, because it's a metallic leg. He's an amputee. But I can always, I'm just going to go over that later and do that later. What do you want, Mason? Okay, I'm sorry. I'll have to help you later. That's my kids. They're here playing 40K, the video game. It's the Space Marine game. Now, one thing that you'll notice with the contrast paints, especially when you use, like, paint over something that's really bright, it will recede from what you've painted, and sometimes, and will leave the base color out. That's why I do multiple washes in the paint before I say okay, and I make sure it completely dries. Never forget the cod piece. It always looks super weird when you painted everything else. And you're like, oh wait, I still gotta paint that little stupid piece right there. Right. You see how that receded from the neck, even though it's already, I've been over it multiple times. Now, to correct that mistake right there where the white wiped off, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in with a base layer coat after this is completely dried, and I'm going to wet blend it in on that, and you wouldn't even be able to tell that it happened. And that's another video. Maybe I'll save that for another video and just show that technique. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do for that. The upcoming videos that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be posting a video on Martian red earth basing material. So I'm going to show some of the basic basing materials, and then I'm going to do another for like making the Martian hellscape style basing. And then after that, I'm going to do another one like what I did for the space wolves. I did a snow on mud basing for that. That turned out pretty freaking sweet, especially with the crackling paints and stuff like that you can use under it. Do a couple different layers of browns, and then let that shine through, and then stipple on some of the snow. Turns out just freaking sweet. But you can see it starts to recede. Even though I've gone over it a couple times, you can see the white coming through where as it's drying, it comes through. So I always keep manipulating it and spreading it out each layer until it's pretty much all the way dry. Because otherwise you will just keep getting receding lines on the paint. I also do not use my nice brushes. As you can tell, this one's okay. I've probably painted like 30, 40 figures with it. I just really kept good care of the tip on it. If you've never dealt with that before, when you're cleaning a tip, you never twist as you drag. Don't ever do that. I don't care what the videos say online. You're going to ruin your brushes really, really, really fast. The best thing you can do is to fold it over and then just pull it straight out. Okay, and then water, pull it over, pull it straight out. Don't ever do that. This is what I'm talking about. Don't ever roll it as you're pulling it. Just straight lines. And the cool thing about this effect is you want to cover everything, even if it's not going to be anywhere near the color, because you're just making a blank for yourself, a blank slate for yourself to paint. So you can add all the details and stuff like that. But that's why it's so crucial to make sure that it doesn't pool up, it doesn't eat any of the details on the model. It's not going to fill in those little super fine grooves that make up all the really cool, interesting details on it. In fact, I will sometimes come through, especially on these backpack stuff, and I'll just with a Q-tip, bloop, and bloop. Pull the junk out of those little vents. And come back through with another brush. But you see, it just naturally will blend itself. Just a little bit more on that. And then we're gonna let it sit. All right, guys, it's pretty much dried. This is the last thing I wanted to help you guys with. You can see the shading effect, right? And you can put as much shade or as little shade, and you can put it on, like you can put the bright on the back and the front dark, however you want to do it. Now, the last thing is right now is the perfect, at the perfect stage. So the paint is actually tacky. It's pretty much dried, believe it or not. But there's little details, like inside the pleat, like the little creases, it'll pool up. You can see down here. And what you want to do is you want to take your brush, your fine point brush, and you want to remove that excess at this point when it's still tacky. And the reason why is you want to allow yourself to still be able to paint those fine details. So, move my light over here so you guys can see a little bit better. Sorry, I know I've got a crowded mess of a paint room, but I'm painting desk, but you want to get all the little tiny finite details. You want to press all the bubbles out of everything. But as you can see, it's dry at this point. Some parts that are not, but, and this is what I'm talking about reseating. I painted that foot. You can see in there all the little spots, the white spots on the bottom of the foot, and stuff like that. But there's a certain point that the paint will reach, which I'm just about there, where every time you're going to run a brush across it, even if it's wetted down, it's going to start peeling that paint off. You want to stop at that point, even if you don't have all the finite details and stuff removed. That's kind of the tricky part of this whole thing, is making sure that you stop when that happens. You can always take a base paint, like the corresponding base paint. Usually this, like GW, will have the contrast ball is really close to red oxide, actually, is what I found. Red oxide from Pro Acryl. So two different, so Citadel, right? That's GW's paints, and then Pro Acryl. And I will use both of these because with this makes a really good base for this color. And you can wet blend it on, and that's what I'm going to show you on another video, is how to wet blend this to that damage, right where I, as I said, I applied it and it sheared off that white that was placed on top of, base that was placed on top of black. It just made kind of a weird color to it. I pulled it right off. So that looks like I missed the inside of the arm. So that is pretty much it for this video. Mess around with it, play around with it. It's a really cool thing, and it's one of those, when you do it and you get good at it, and again, there's not much of a learning curve to it, but if you do it right, man, it makes those models pop, and people will start going, hey, can I look at that? And if you're one of those players like me that the game is secondary, the game's just a reason to go out and you know, meet people and hang out. The models, it's about the models, it's about the lore for me, and the hobbying aspect of this sport. I see a lot of people play that make these videos simply for either the lore or, hey, what's the newest meta that's out there? What can I expect from this unit attacking this unit? Whatever. What's the most meta thing? That's not me. I do play competitively, or at least I try to. I'm not very good at competitive play, but for me, it's about making just sick, sweet, awesome models that people want to enjoy, you know, and creating a story, portraying a story. So, until next time, thanks. And if you like this video and you want to see more content like this, if you like my style, please give me a like, give me a thanks. Think about subscribing. I'm going to be showing a lot of these videos. I know I'm kind of boring, but hobbying's boring. At the same time, so much fun. Nothing like watching paint dry. Bye.